Hi everyone. Today is December 22nd, 2021, and we have today last session of this year of AMA, and I'm so happy to see you today. And that year was as much as difficult as actually exciting, and so we had so many projects done in this year. Very happy, and hopefully that year was treated good you too. And so more sessions we are doing like this, more opportunities we have for next ones, and so more ideas we have. And so I hope then to hear from you some ideas too, if you want to hear about our line of colors. And today we will talk about our Yellow Earth colors. And so I'm assisted as always by George O'Hanlon. He will help me to answer your questions. Like always, you ask the questions during the session. And we can start it. So we will start with Blue Ridge Yellow Ochre, and this is our most opaque color, yellow color.
Ochre color.
Ochre color, yes. And because the particle size of this specific color is very small, and so therefore it's very smooth paste.
And this ochre is from the U.S. So it's from West Virginia area. There are very old ochre deposits there that have been there and have been mined continuously for at least 100 years.
So like always, we will mix our colors with several colors. So we will start with lead white number 1. This is most common, lead white. And I will try to mix 50-50. Keep in mind, of course, it's all by eye. I'm not obviously measuring, but we just wanted to show you difference between, let's say, lead white, very warm white, and very cool white, with titanium white. And so every color we will mix, so you will see the difference. So like I said, this is the smallest particle, and based on mixture when I was working with every color, so that was the most smooth color. And later, after when we finish video, I will show you swatches like always, and you will see then it's actually most glassy color too on the end because of the particle size.
Ochre is a designation, not a rock, but actually a pigment that is derived from the earth, and it contains iron oxide. So what we're showing here today, we say yellow earths, but we're showing mostly ochres. We do have one that's technically not an ochre. And if you want to know more about what kind of rocks it comes from, principally ochres come from the mineral goethite, which is not a rock but a mineral. There's a distinction. Rocks contain many different minerals as they're found in nature. So the names earth and ochre are suitable when it is clear that the pigment comes from a natural source. So earth is a general term, ochre refers to a specific type of iron oxide.
Lemon ochre, probably after Blue Ridge, lemon and Blue Ridge yellow ochre go in neck to each other, so they are most popular among the yellow colors. The difference is, of course, Blue Ridge has the smallest particle, lemon ochre has the biggest particles. And you can see then behaves already different, so it's kind of breaking up. If you want to create impasto with, so that would be a great color to do that. Where the Blue Ridge yellow ochre kind of like melting out.
You can actually see the texture in that
Yes.
other video where this close up.
Yes.
And that's because of the size of the particles.
Just wanted to mention, when you see two of them together like this, it's in mass tone they're almost identical, but I assure you they are very different. And you see that when you mix even with lead white, you see how lemon ochre is much more lighter in color, and so because the particle size, it makes this color much more transparent.
Yeah, you can see here the differences in the tinting strength of lead white and titanium white. Quite different.
Italian Yellow Earth, again it's BY43, you see that, so all three of them are the same index, 43. Somehow people don't pay attention much to this color, but it's very interesting one, and so on the end of the program we will have special deal, and and that will be specifically about Italian Yellow Earth. And again, we do want you to experience that. This is probably most greenish one from all of them, and probably the most greedy one. So it's looks like the particle size are their biggest than even lemon ochre. It's not. It just obviously has different mineral inside, George. Yes. So because this what makes that greenish color on. Although here on video it's not very visible, but you will see later on my swatches.
Yeah, keep in mind too that ochres typically contain clay, quartz, and other, could also gypsum, things like that are naturally found in the earth where they're located.
Yellow curlite. This color we usually use in our classes, and to show just what, as a pigment, how it's look like. And when you mix with oil, it suddenly become very dark, although you see the name yellow curlite. This is most reddish color from all of them. And again, that was discovery for me, because when you put all of them together, suddenly you see the all difference.
Yeah, keep in mind all of these oil colors mix with any oil medium.
Absolutely.
So no problem there.
They're
really wonderful colors to use for so many different applications, portraits, landscapes. You can see the subtlety of each of these colors. There are just slight differences, especially in tints, is where artists typically use them anyway.
But what we would like to mention about behavior, of course, and so yellow curlite, very soft one. It's very fluffy. It's almost, you can't even feel on the palette knife when you work with that. And like I said, it's very reddish, which makes probably very nice and easy flesh tone color.
A lot of the transparency of these ochres comes from the fact that they contain various amounts of iron oxides, and the iron oxide gives the actual color. But the other accessory minerals, like the clay, the quartz, and so forth, change or alter that color, but give it more transparent. You can see we're getting more and more transparent.
Yeah. meaning titanium is overpowering, and so you see that, yeah. Yellow kerpel, it's one of the sour colors what we actually didn't follow the rule, and so we are making from our from the pigment called yellow ochre extra pale, and so although you see here it's almost brown color, as a pigment, it's, I can assure you, it's very
It's almost white.
White, yes. And so again, very interesting. It's very fluffy, and it's what I would say, like, you see, like here it's almost like brown, but what I found from that video, so if you want to tune down your white, if it's too bright, so that's what yellow ochre pale will do. So it's very easy, but at least you know what it's mixed, and so you know then it's very safe to make that buff titanium.
You also notice that the consistency of these colors vary considerably. Some look a little, as one of our commenters said, why is one dry and the yellow ochre light looks oily?
Yeah.
And that's because we don't put additives like all other companies do. And so what you're really seeing is the behavior of the pigment with the oil.
Now you will see probably the most interesting color. It's called Vicenza Earth. And so if we had people who bought that color and they absolutely didn't understand what the heck they bought, and it's understandable, because as a color it doesn't make any sense, because what you see right now, absolutely brown color, very transparent, you can see that it's transparent, but the moment you mix with any color, so it's I would think, George, it's how's that to when you not even tune down, when you just want to shift the color a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, it's so transparent and so little tint strength, as you're going to see in just a second, that rather than using it as a color, as Tanya's mentioning, you can modulate and in a very sublime way any other color with it. So you can see what it's doing to this white. It just warms up the white, and instead of overpowering anything, and that's because it's mostly clay. There's so little iron oxide in it to give it any kind of color to it. But very useful color, and there's a whole article on it on the website, Natural Pigments website.
Italian dark ochre, and you can see here's a small separation. I'm sure George already reading something why they behave different. So because again we don't put any additives, and so some colors once in a while have this separation. And again, artists who use our colors years and years, they absolutely understand and experience that. And so Italian dark ochre is in our yellow ochre's line. So because it's definitely not a red color, not even orange, but definitely like when you see you put among the yellows, it's like, ooh, it's not yellow either. But so.
But of course, ochres vary in range from yellow, red, brown.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So that's why we decided to put here anyway for you. So, and you will see that it's completely, the very strong tinting, and definitely very reddish.
Great
One of the actually very popular colors.
Great for flesh tones.
I should give that. So it's a lot of people buy that color. I think
like our orange ochre. It's like
yes. Just for comparison, because many of you are accustomed to synthetic colors, and so then we decided to mix that with Mars yellow, so then you can see the difference. You see a difference in consistency. You see how it's very stiff from the tube.
So Mars yellow, of course, is an synthetic iron oxide. So this is a synthetic color, and it's almost pure iron oxide. And you can see why. You can see how strong tinting it is, how very opaque it is, as compared to ochres. Less subtle nature, much more heavy-footed.
So of course it didn't make any difference on lead white on that color, so it's not much changed the color at all. But look, even titanium, when I will mix with titanium, even that didn't tint color much. So I decided to make another pile and put actually extra titanium then to see the color. So then at least you will see how it's how
strongly tinting.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
So you could also see that the differences between lead white
Yes.
and titanium. Titanium is cooler, so it's going to cool the colors. Lead white's going to maintain the warmth of the color.
Now, of course, we wanted to mix some kind of greens, hopefully, since it's not true yellow how you're accustomed with synthetic modern colors. So the yellows will not be very, not with all colors, you will see. And so we will mix with ultramarine red shade and Prussian blue.
We don't have one of our
Yeah.
audience asked if we sell them in a kit. We don't have a kit.
But we will have special deal.
We'll have a special deal if you buy any two of these earth colors. We'll give the Italian Yellow Earth free.
And again, it's the reason why we're doing this, because we do want you to try. It's one of the actually very nice colors, very useful, but not many people kind of pay attention to that one.
Yeah, we have actually, I don't know, maybe in our dry pigment line, we probably have well over 20 yellow ochres. But out of that group, we've selected, we've selected this group to make oil paint out of.
Some of them very similar, so then that's why
Yeah.
we don't touch in oils. So you can see then, you will see that actually even more so than more olive greens are made then with, so I have a note here. Blue Rich Yellow Ochre, Italian Yellow Earth, and Mars Yellow make, with ultramarine, make olive green.
Very
So
olive
you
greens.
can, you can't just, you can't even mix it so to make the true green. But with Prussian blue is different story. So Blue Rich Yellow Ochre, Yellow Curlite, and Mars, you actually can see the green color.
Yeah, look how strong Prussian blue just overpowers
yes, and,
everything. It's amazing.
I should mention that it's not a 50-50. It's not even 10%. You can see.
I think it's a little dot.
Yes, I just try to, tap, you see, like, okay, with ultramarine.
A little bit
Ultramarine,
more.
much more transparent, obviously.
Yeah.
But see, okay, I overpower here. But with Prussian blue, I just didn't. Okay, so I'm
Gonna add some back in.
Yeah. Yes.
But also, yellow ochre light is very, very weak tinting strength. It's very transparent. So it's easy to overpower.
Yeah.
And by the way, the Prussian blue we make, there's no filler in it. And so it's very intense. So a lot of other companies put fillers. And we don't say that in a deprecating way because they put fillers because it's very difficult to control at full strength. Kind of like a phthalo blue.
Yes. Again, nobody in the world, any company, put phthalo green or blue in the full strength. It will be crazy because it's impossible to work with that. Since we do have this policy in our company, we don't put any additives or fillers, so then we put Prussian blue in full strength. So then just be careful. It's very powerful one.
Henry asks if we're going to ever produce a bismuth vanadate yellow, and
George was thinking about this,
that,
and I probably
we're
actually
looking at and have been testing some modern synthetics like a bismuth vanadate yellow and some 19th century yellows. So besides the ones that we have, so yeah, I think look for this,
next year,
in the near future.
Yeah. So lemon, ochre, Italian yellow earth, and pale, and Vicenza making with Prussian blue, making very aqua blue-green color, very beautiful. But what interesting, what I found was if you will do mix ultramarine blue with yellow kerpel, or even better, with Vicenza Earth, you basically can fake your lazurite. So it was very similar in color, and I will show you in swatches. It's very apparent there, and so because it's kind of mudding up a little bit of ultramarine.
It's a great way to control ultramarine because it can be very garish.
Yeah, and so the bigger particles of the yellow ochres are making that even more interesting. So it's not like you're mixing with it was white. It's so different, and yes, so it's very interesting. So I found specifically Vicenza Earth and ultramarine blue together look like ultramarine the lazurite.
Ku, welcome, Ku.
Hi, Ku.
Yeah, you're right. Any yellow ochre applied thinly will behave transparently. That's due to the accessory minerals. So, which are genuinely transparent? Well, I would say I'm not sure what genuinely would be.
Lemon ochre would be.
But in either oil or, well, obviously an egg yolk and oil is going to be different because of the refractive index of the oil paint. But the Vicenza is going to be fairly transparent.
But Vicenza, Vicenza doesn't look yellow in oil of the watercolor or the egg tempera. That's for sure. It's very dirty color. So I mean dirty meaning like it's not yellow, not red, not
it doesn't have high chroma.
Yeah. So I still would think then probably Italian yellow earth or lemon ochre are the most transparent, but Italian yellow earth is on greenish side. So if something you don't want that, so the lemon ochre would be your choice.
Yeah, the lemon ochre in very thin applications will be more lemony yellow.
Yeah.
Certainly. Notice how the blue almost does nothing to the Mars yellow. The Prussian blue.
Yeah, and I added already half. So, and it's not even,
So, Ku, when I say accessory minerals, that of course, ochres get their color from iron oxide, but because the iron oxide is in various proportions in the actual mineral, the accessory minerals, which are clay, quartz, gypsum, anything that's naturally found in with the ochres, because they have low refractive index, also give it a more transparent feel. But in egg tempera, that's going to be very different, because egg tempera, the refractive indexes depend on the surrounding medium, which is going to be very different in egg tempera rather than oil.
Look at this range of colors. It's okay, it's gone now. So so we will look later again. And so
So you can show some of the samples.
Yes.
You have some swatches
Yes.
on that, so we can
Yes.
talk about that.
So again, more we make in this sessions, more we excited, and so now we have idea to we're talking about long time about our Armenian colors, and we now getting another 4 different colors. So look like or January and February we will have this AMA session about Armenian colors, which is very exciting. And if you think that's what you saw today is exciting and interesting, so wait until that one. So I would like to show you swatches, and so then at least we can kind of like go back and to video and what was mixed. And so, by the way, I can tell you this: the drying time, all of that, all including Mars, was probably some of them overnight, and some of them in 2 days, where all of them were dried. So, just because it's one of the questions usually artists ask how long it dries, and so just because it's natural colors, and so it's quite big particles on some of them, not much oil, so therefore. So George, you can switch us to different camera. Okay, here. Ooh, that's look very orangey. It's is there anything we can change, or that's how it is, George? It will be okay.
I've been playing with that somewhat to get that a little bit less.
It's even worse, I think. So okay, nope. Okay. So put back, I guess, where we were. Okay, not the greatest, I guess, the explanation, but at least let's see the value. So you can see then this is full. It's blue rich yellow ochre, and so you can see then with lead white, and that's with titanium. And again, here's blue rich yellow ochre, and you can see how that was ultramarine, and that's with Prussian, and we actually, you can see then it's true green here. So then that's the blue rich yellow ochre. Is there any questions? So then I will just, we will go.
Somebody asked about the Armenian Yellow Earths. We
Yes.
will show that in a different video.
Yes, absolutely, because
what
we have.
What you've seen are
yes.
Italian and French yellow
Yes.
Earth colors.
Yes. Armenians will be, we will make special program for Armenians, because it's, by now we have 10 colors, and we will have another 4 probably by next couple months, and so that would be exciting. So anyway, back to our session today. It's lemon ochre, and if I would show you, I will try to show you. See how blue rich yellow ochre is much more glassy, and remember we already covered that for several sessions. Particle size is much smaller, so therefore first of all, it will take much more oil, of course, but just because of the particles smaller, and so then it
Can
will
you tell
look
which ones you have in your hands?
This is blue rich yellow ochre, and you can see then it's on glassy, and this is much more. You see how suddenly here is all matte, and here's just because we had titanium, so it's a little bit more glassier, but look that. I will show you this. You see how matte it is.
Again,
like compared to
what everybody needs to understand is gloss matte predominantly is controlled by particle size of the paint. So particle size of the pigment, to a large effect in oil colors especially, will control the matte or gloss. Larger particles, more matte. Small particles, more glossy.
So that was lemon. Okay. So now we are going to Italian Yellow Earth. One of that, what we absolutely want you to pay attention, and it's beautiful color. Again, probably same particle size, very large, so therefore it will be a little bit more matte. So And you can see again tinting strengths, very transparent. It's very transparent, but more greenish than any other yellows. And so then, and you can see how olive color makes with ultramarine. Okay, so, and you can see even scratches here. I don't know if it's visible here.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, so that's due to the particle size, because obviously Prussian blue is has very small particles. It's not indication here. Okay, here's yellow curlite, and you see how more and more transparent we are becoming. And so, but yellow curlite is very reddish one, and it's almost too true right now. I see on screen and what in my hand, and so look at that color. It's with ultramarine, and it's very interesting. So how you can just tune down your ultramarine and not exactly make a lazurite, but it's
Yellow curlite.
Yellow curlite. And so here our yellow ochre pale.
Look at the transparency.
And you can see then, even with lead white, you still see how transparent it is. Of course, titanium already overpowering, and so therefore, of course, you can see then it's very opaque here. But it's basically like if you need to just kind of kill your very bright white, so that's the way to do this with yellow ochre pale. And that's what I was talking about, lazurite. So you can see that again. You see how transparent you can, the transparency you can see right here. So, and look how interesting aqua green with Prussian blue, and that's what Vicenza Earth. I mean, want to be honest, we did have couple customers who were excited. They read somewhere, they heard somewhere about Vicenza Earth, they bought it, and they were they called me and so I was like, what is this? That's how it's look like when it's dry. So, and you can see it's just you know, changing the whites, nothing else. There's nothing yellow about this. So, and that's what it does to the blues. And I mean, of course, I probably would figure out if somebody will give me swatch of lazurite and that one. Of course, I will figure out which one is which. But very, very similar, very interesting. That was discovery for me actually. So
it looks more grayish here though.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, you can actually
modulate
look
that.
Yeah. So that's Italian yellow. It's Italian dark ochre, and you can see how red it is, and it's probably what is it, 16, 17 years ago. We should probably put that in orange line, but nevertheless, it's in our yellows.
It's predominantly a gatite, which is a yellow ochre.
Very pink. You can't see here, but it's just absolutely pink here. So that's with titanium, and so that's how it's look with our blues. And again, big particles, I can tell you right now. So, and almost all of them except blue rich yellow ochre, and that's our Mars. And you can see, of course, the colors not right. They're much more greenish in life. So where here is much more reddish, but I can tell you that it's like almost olivey yellow. And so, and here's 50-50 with titanium, and you see no changes in not much changes in color. Very powerful, very different from natural colors, you can see. And so, and here's probably like 75% of titanium and 25 of the Mars yellow. And so just to see the comparison, and yep, Here's definitely true green right here. So
okay, one of the questions
yes.
is from Constance. Which one of these Yellow Earth is most glossy?
Blue Ridge Yellow Ochre, if you're talking about natural colors.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Mars
Right,
Yellow.
that's the Yellow
So,
Earth that we showed, yeah.
Yeah. So Blue Ridge, the most glossy
And
one.
again, that's because of the particle size.
size.
Small, has the smallest particle size. It's micronized pigment, so very small as a result of that. Another question we have is, I'll just put that in the broadcast. Why is transparent Mars Yellow often said to be less permanent than plain Mars Yellow or yellow ochre? It isn't.
No, it is
It
not.
isn't. It's
I
all
don't know
iron
who...
oxides.
Yes.
I think that's a misinformation.
I intentionally didn't touch Mars, transparent Mars Yellow, transparent
Iron oxides.
yellow oxide,
Yeah.
yes. And so, because we do have two of them, and it's so funny when you look from the tube, yellow doesn't look like yellow, and transparent red iron oxide doesn't look like red. It's so weird situation, but when you mix with whites,
or when you go when you apply it
or
thinly.
yes, or very very thinly, so then you can see then this is red, this is yellow, and so that's why I didn't touch this. I didn't bring that to that session because it will be from way over scopes. It's completely different range of them. But yeah, it's as permanent as any of yellow ochres, natural ones.
Yeah. So why do manufacturers use the term light next to a color? It's because we don't want to give it, it varies with each manufacturer. Some use pale, some use light, and so forth. But it's just a naming convention. There's no significance to it.
We started with pigments, and we had, George mentioned, we probably don't have 20 of the pigments, but we do have a lot of yellow ochres. And so the idea was, again, we don't give fancy schmancy names. We usually give in from the places where it's digged or the mineral itself. And just happened then we had that many of same range. That's why it doesn't make any sense to make all of them in the range of oils, but it's more interesting like in egg tempera or on watercolors. On watercolors we have more, like we have another beautiful color, it's called ambrosia, and but in oils it didn't make any sense for us to repeat it almost exactly identical to other colors. So that's why we gave different, like yellow curlite, although you see then it's not as light as in oil. In the pigment, absolutely.
Yeah, and we're going back to the issue of permanence.
Yes.
So Winsor Newton seems to grade transparent A rather than AA. You're going to have to really ask Winsor Newton why they do that, because that's not following that grading system, by the way, doesn't follow any light fastness standard, especially the ASTM light fastness standard for oil paint, which is ASTM D4302. So you'll have to ask them what they mean by that, because we're not aware of any differences in terms of light fastness. Now, there may be some other issue they're looking at, and so that needs to be
remember one
specific.
thing. So again, very proudly we talk about, and for in our line of colors we always put one single pigment color. So except of course some of our historical whites and five historical hues, but other than that it's always single pigment. When you look on Winsor and Newton, so look on the back of the tube, maybe it's another color pigment there, so which makes suddenly different between A and AA, because as the iron oxide doesn't matter if it's natural or it's synthetic, it's absolutely permanent. This is why we are preaching always about natural colors, because they are most stable colors. They are millions of years in the earth, and so they probably will survive another millions on your palette. So that's and synthetic iron oxide as good as natural.
Do you have to worry about putting these faster drying ochre colors on top of a slower drying oil color?
You probably should think about that.
That's true for
And
anything,
yes.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So
any oil paint.
Yeah, that structure is very important, and that's why we have our painting best practices, and we always talking about how to safely apply the colors, and so you definitely need to think about drying time, different pigments and different oils. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but usually, so like yellow ochres don't exist alone, and so you don't just put them so suddenly, and I mean not usually, so let's just, but even if you mix with lead white, it's it's different time of drying. With by the way, I show you with titanium, which titanium dries very slow. With iron oxide, it dried the same time, and 2 days was the most.
So they ask, Constance asks, thanks Constance for loving our products. Mars Yellow dries really fast. That's true. And how can I extend drying time without compromising the film?
The one thing you can do, of course, you can mix with walnut oil. That's one safe way to do that, and so it will not prolong much, but it will slow down drying time enough for you to paint next day and maybe day after that.
And going back to that issue in regards to the transparent yellow iron oxide,
yes,
permanents and so forth, keep in mind that iron oxides are the most permanent and compatible pigments known to humans at this point in time. And so whether it's transparent or a synthetic Mars Yellow or an iron in a yellow ochre, a natural earth, it's going to be very compatible. There shows very few incompatibilities with other pigments and light fast. And the difference between a transparent yellow iron oxide and a Mars Yellow, which is just the particle size. So the smaller the particle, as the particle gets to this small size, it becomes more transparent.
Yeah.
And here's another question from Jody.
Yes.
Some yellow ochres and raw siennas look very similar, especially in watercolor. I'm wondering what's the primary differences of the two.
And raw siennas.
Between raw siennas and yellow ochres. They are very similar.
No. So first of all, I can tell you this. Raw siennas are, again, are we talking, if we are talking about our company or somebody else?
Just in general, probably.
In general. So still raw siennas are much more powerful. So
yeah.
So and I guess I'm talking about our colors, and so you need to remember, if we are talking about raw sienna, and let's say Winsor and Newton, there is nothing about raw sienna there. It's sienna. I mean, it's the iron oxide pretend like raw sienna. Therefore, it will be yellow iron oxide mixed with something else to pretend. So so it still will be much more powerful. And so I was just yesterday was playing with our yellow ochres, because we found this, the range of them, and I found, and they all look the same for me in the pens. But then when I started to play with them, each of them had a different cast. So some of them were greenish, some reddish, and so. But siennas, even our sienna, which is natural, it's still much more powerful than yellow ochre.
Yeah, keep in mind that the term sienna is somewhat arbitrary, and used by different manufacturers in different ways. Like Tanya mentioned, very importantly, you have to understand is that what you see as ochres and siennas in other product lines actually, like Tanya mentioned, may actually be synthetics. So look at the back of the label and you'll see it should, if it's natural, it'll be a PY43. Now, how we distinguish siennas from ochres is that siennas typically have a little bit of manganese oxide, which alters the color typically. But that's a kind of a general rule of thumb, but every manufacturer is going to deal with that a little bit differently. Let me add another, another question here. Which of the yellow earths feel longest on your brush? That's a good question.
Blue Rich Yellow Ochre. That's the one. And I'm sorry, I forget, Henry, I forget to mention that when I started that when you will, if you will have time to look back, when you will look the first slide where we talk, when I put in the palette knife, and that was very long. So, and it's just due to different behavior of the particle to the oil. And yeah, it's the longest one. Lemon ochre, probably the shortest one.
Henry also asked, generalize how the clay content affects handling.
It makes much more short.
Mm-hmm.
So like in and obviously transparent but short. Yeah.
And Dan Freed, this is off topic. He asked about how to make a mid-value neutral gray, and someone else suggested, which I think is probably just as good. Take an acrylic white and black and mix a gray. Yeah, put it on the underside of the palette. So that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And any other questions? Looks like we have answered most everybody, I hope.
Good.
And do you have anything else to show our guests?
No, we're good. Okay. So we made that program very short and sweet, and I'm happy. So our next AMA will be on January 19th. We still will announce the topic of that, but if we don't have any questions, again, this was Tatiana Zaytseva, I forgot to mention, and we are in Natural Pigments today, and happy holidays.
Oh, I got one point here which we knew would be brought up. That's the Vicenza.
Okay, Pam, you have special gift from me. So next time you order, just remind me. I will send you a tube of Vicenza Earth. It is true.
She just bought it, but
okay. So I will give you something else.
So, Pam, the reason why we listed on the website as a PW19 because that's a clay. That's PW19 is the color index number for clay. That is the main constituent in that mineral. But the actual coloring part of it is a PY43, which is an iron oxide.
Which is not, it's so
that's
small
why
amount. We just put in that program specifically with yellows because it's in our yellow line. But yes, it's PW19, and it was not George's mistakes. We were talking about how do we approach that, and so. But thank you. So we always love customers who absolutely understand what they're talking, and so it's great. And so.
Yeah, and keep in mind that nature doesn't follow neat categories, so. We're trying to give it some kind of category so we can understand it, like we call it a yellow earth or a yellow ochre. Technically, Vicenza is not a yellow ochre. It's actually clay with a little bit of yellow iron oxide in it. So how do you do that? So So we just decided to classify it as a yellow earth.
But
technically not a yellow ochre.
Yes.
Though.
So, but again, on the tube, you're absolutely right. We put everything, the index, what is must be to that.
The main constituent in the tube. But we wanted to talk about the colorant. What actually gives it this particular color, which is really important here.
So, are we finished now?
I think we are. I think we got everything.
Okay, so
well, thanks, Pam, for liking it, and
happy Black Water Tiger year. New year look like will be looking very nice. So according to Eastern calendar, and so then I wish you the best, and see you next year. Thank you being with us, being our customers, being our friends, and
don't forget our promotion.
And yes, I thought you already mentioned. I will mention it again. So it's special deal for next week.
For this week, today.
Starting today to until next Wednesday. So you buy any 2 yellow ochres what we talk today, and you will get a free Italian Yellow Earth tube automatically. So just special for you
free,
who are watching today. And again, thank you very much. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Happy
See you
New
next
Year.
year. Bye.